Real Talk with lovely, lavish Lavi. And this evening, I just got to let you guys know that we have a special show. We have everything. It's right here waiting for you guys. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about journalists right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I got to say good evening to all the listeners out there, whether you're in Radio Land, wherever you are, under the sounds of WIN FM. I am Laverne Davis, and I am from St. Peter's. This show is based upon our grassroots people, wherever you are. You know, in every success, you have to start from where? Not the top. You got to start from the bottom. So tonight, our topic is based upon journalism right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And the two people that we're going to have here in the studios for you guys that are out there on the internet, those on YouTube, we have none other than the beautiful. She don't like me to, I don't know why she don't want me to just, give her all her props, I think she like it. I know she playing smart. But anyway, I have the final say. We have the lovely Jamie McPhail in the house with me. She is one of the communication director for the association, for the Media Association in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we are going to also have Andre Huey. He's the president of the Media Association in St. Kitts and Nevis, and he will be joining us shortly also. Tonight, I am not going to, waste too much time because, it's only an hour, and it goes by so quickly. However, I have to take time out to say a special good evening to Tessa. That's the sister of, what's his name? I put myself, what's the name of our great guy? He's the president over the Football Association. Atiba Harris. You know how it is with the brain, Right. So Tessa is the sister of Atiba Harris. And I just got to send a pleasant good evening to you. And folks out there that if you don't know who Tessa is, I guess some people call her Vivian. She just came out of the hospital some time ago. And, of course, when it comes to diabetes, you know what comes with it. So I just want to send some special love up there to Atiba Harris' sister. And, I want to big up Atiba, too, for the support that he have given to his sister. I truly appreciate that when you see brothers, siblings coming together in times of need, in sickness. And Tessa is recovering. She's healing. She's now going to be a number one, not P2. And you know how it is when you're in your early 40s and you have to get, words from the doctor saying you're going to only have, not just one foot, but you're going to lose a limb, a leg. I also have families that suffer from diabetes. Yes, so we are definitely going to have a show with diabetes as well. And I chose to bring persons who are, actually suffering from it and persons who have been there. So this is what the show, when it comes to Real Talk with Lavi, we bring the real things here. We bring people who have make it to the top, some of them who are actually going up to the top, and those who are looking up to the top, Yeah, this is what this show is about. It's all about positivity, whatever we bring, it's a non-political party, so we are not in affiliation with no political parties. However, we welcome the politicians. And of course, when it comes to Lavi, it's not going to be like the regular, so welcome politicians to feed the politicians' ego, but it's to get some information how the politicians will be representing us right here as a people in our beautiful Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis. So we're all about bringing in the positive. And I just see the president. He has just come in. That's Mr. Andre Huey, so he's in the house, and ladies and gentlemen, the show begins. Good evening. Once again, I am here to present. I'm just going to do it my way on the Real Talk. So we're here to present Miss Jamie McPhail and Mr. Andre Hewitt. It's a pleasant to have you guys here.
Good evening.
Guys. Good evening.
Yes, pleasure to be here.
Mm-hmm. All right, Andre, I like the time that you're coming, you get to just come in and just join in and two beautiful girls, and the queen next to you.
Yes. Um, on the battlefield.
I like your color. Is that a particular party color or?
No. Actually, it's an SKNFA shirt. I just happened to.
You were just speaking about the president of the association.
It just happened to be red.
Exactly. But that's, it's so funny. I actually said that because it's unfortunate that we cannot put on any colors without assigning it to a party. So I deliberately asked about that. So it's very good to know that, you guys are here. You was able to join this homegrown, normal, something probably outside your box. And it shouldn't be because, we come from the same kind of upbringing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am just pleased to have you guys here because one of the reasons why I have you all here is not just because you all are affiliated with the association, the media association, but it's to actually, get a chance to get to know who you guys are, your purpose, why you chose journalism and where you see journalism going here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm just going to put in my 2 pennies because when I finish, I just want you guys to just take over. And some of the things that I want to ask what people are asking, it's like, what is the future for journalism here in St. Kitts? Because right now, there's so many things happening. And, we have the bloggers and persons now are, going to different sites when you hear an incident or anything, especially tragic. Gun violence, everything negative, right? We write on there on time. Something good, we don't see people showing up, right? However, it is so good that at least we have persons out there doing it. But maybe because I was able to live outside of the box as well, I am kind of confused, and like many others, who are the journalists here in St. Kitts? And when it comes to radio personalities or presenters, even myself doing this, I don't call myself a blogger. I see myself as a community woman, somebody that is positive and really want to share back some real information back to the people through this forum, and actually to remain myself so persons out there can relate to people. Then, sometimes we create these shows and we want people to maybe how we sound, we sounding maybe very intelligent to them, but at the same time, you're not touching the people. Mm-hmm. So I am just happy that I can be here. And I'm going to let Jamie start first because as you guys start to speak, then I will ask some of the questions, and the persons already tell me they're going to be messaging me, right? But as, folks out there do know that we're not here to bring anybody to, to humiliate them, or to make them uncomfortable, because if we make people uncomfortable, they're not going to come on the show. So the whole idea is to, have people that have the experience, who have been there, who are still growing, and want to probably share some of the things that, they have encountered, and perhaps let the audience know in St. Kitts and Nevis, it appears that most persons that are doing the media is probably assigned to a radio station, or maybe to a political party. And I think that a lot of people, the outcry is that they're not getting enough information out from the journalists. So I will let you guys take over.
Okay, I'll start here. I'll start from the beginning. You asked how we got involved in journalism. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I don't think I necessarily chose journalism. I'll say journalism chose me. And I have said this many times on various platforms. I ended up in this profession by complete accident. So I was kind of thrown in at the deep end, and I took the opportunity and I ran with it, and I tried to enhance my skills as much as possible. I tried to seek out training, look for training, be at training sessions, anything, so that I could be the best that I could be in the field. Now, I'm nowhere near the best at this point in time. You also mentioned that most of the journalists, that there is a perception that most journalists in St. Kitts and Nevis are affiliated with a political party. I hear that, but I am surrounded by journalists every day, and I don't know, for example, the president, I don't know. that he is affiliated with any political party. I can speak for myself. I am not affiliated with any political party in St. Kitts and Nevis or anywhere else. So I think that's sometimes the perception because we live in a small community, but I don't know if it is actually based on fact. You also spoke about the bloggers and the vloggers. You know, anybody who is interested in media per se, social media, can actually participate in activities that may be similar to journalism. Are they journalists? No. There is a distinction because journalists actually have to operate within certain boundaries. There is a lot of talk about ethical journalism, what you do, what you don't do, what you say, what you don't say, what you choose to put out to the public, and the time frame that you choose to put that out to the public. So that is where you kind of differentiate between people who are doing similar activities for the sake of a hobby because they like to do that, and people who are actually working within the profession. So I don't know. I know you ask a lot. I don't know if I covered all, but I think during the conversation we could always get back to some of the points that you made. So, Andre?
Yeah. All right. Well, to answer the first question about how we got started, for me, I think from an early age, I kind of determined I wanted to be in the media. At first as a journalist and in broadcasting and in whatever format. I actually started in high school. I actually started my own high school newspaper in my class in second form.
Oh.
And that's where it all began. I mean, a lot of students who went to school with me could tell you they always knew I wanted to be in the field. And then, of course, that worked my way up until, after I left school and I pursued the field. This year, actually, August this year, God's willing, will mark 24 years in the field of journalism.
Oh, that's nice. Congratulations.
Yes, thanks.
And I'm at half of that.
But even with that, those years of experience, journalism is such a dynamic profession that you can never achieve. You can't say you arrived. There's always new trends. There are always new things you have to learn. I've been to workshops and trainings where I see very experienced journalists with far more experience than me there. So it tells you that you always have to sharpen your skills as a journalist. You always have to learn, and especially now with technology. I know the big discussion now. There's actually going to be a workshop later this year in Jamaica on AI and how that impacts the media. And just this morning I got an email about a similar training that's happening in Cuba next month. So there's always new trend. There are always new trends in the field, and so you always have to keep yourself sharp. So regardless of the years of experience you may have, you always have to keep yearning more knowledge when it comes to the field. Jamie touched on a very important point about the point you raised as well about bloggers and vloggers, and we see a lot of that now in St. Kitts Nevis. And it's actually good to have a space as active as it is here, where you have people who are doing similar tasks, but as Jamie said, they're not necessarily journalists per se. It's not only here in St. Kitts. This trend is happening right across the globe, right across the Caribbean, right across the United States and the international community. I think what I would always say, though, that sets or that creates a distinction is the responsibility that journalists have and that established media entities have. So a vlogger and a blogger is not judged or governed by the same standards as a journalist. A vlogger can get a mistake with something and, the public will forgive them. If we get a mistake, a similar mistake, we're going to have a hard time dealing with the public because they expect, they hold us to a higher standard.
Yeah,
they expect that, if you're going to report on something, it has to be factual. If it's not factual, why are you reporting on it? You have to ensure you check everything to ensure that the information you put out is accurate. So we are held by a higher standard, and rightfully so, because we're the ones people look to. People will always get their information from wherever. And, I always encourage people, have multiple sources. So you get it from one outlet, check another outlet to see if, similar information is there or if there's any differences in the information, so that you yourself as a citizen can inform yourself properly and accurately. So if, for example, you see something on a blog site or on social media, whatever, you can always double check that information. So by double checking, you can always check. Normally when I see something, whether it's here or overseas, the first thing I do, I check an established source to see if they have the story. And usually, if they have the story, then okay, more than 90% it's accurate. If they don't, it could be that they haven't yet published it or it is not accurate. So I try to do my own little research, even in my own information consumption, to ensure that whatever I'm consuming information-wise is accurate. I always say information is like food, and you have to care for where you get your sources of food from and what you consume. You have junk food and you have healthy food. And the same way you have junk information and you have accurate information. So you have to determine, as a person who wants to be informed, where you're getting your information from and how you process that information. So, it's even more challenging now because of the fact that everybody has a platform. But, the same rule applies of verification, verifying your source, verifying the information, ensure that you're actually getting the right information. I always say, and this is my personal philosophy when it comes to journalism, I'd rather get it last and right than first and wrong. And I am not in the business of trying to break the news first. There are many platforms that do that. Kudos to them, and I commend them for trying to get the information first to people. But at the end of the day, I know that people are going to look to my source to ensure if this is correct.
Yes.
And I always go to this example. Some years ago, a very unfortunate incident happened here where a schoolgirl was missing for several weeks. She was found, the remains of her body was found. And I remember when the story came out, when it broke that morning, people were going to all different kind of sources to find out, if this is indeed true. Did they find her? And what happened? And later in the day, I met someone who said to me, there was someone who was accused of, people are saying on the street that this is the person who did it. And, they almost beat the guy and all this thing. And he said, when the person said, when he saw that, they immediately came to my site to see if the information was indeed accurate. Because, people are out to kill this man, accusing this man of committing the crime. And, he doesn't know if it's true. So he went to see. So it goes to show that people will consume information from everywhere. But when it comes to, okay, is this accurate? They are going to go to the established sources to determine whether or not this information is accurate or not. So that, for me, told me I have to be very responsible with what I publish because people are looking to you as the authority. And if you have it, they're going to run with it to say, okay, if this outlet published it, then it must be right. And if it's not there, then they're going to second guess whatever else they get. So it's just the responsibility. We have to just be responsible as journalists, and we have an extra layer of scrutiny from the public when it comes to that.
Well, I'm gonna let you, because I'm not gonna call the person. So the JT Taylor, good evening to you. JT is saying, do you consider Shaq as a journalist? But I think when Jamie was saying, basically, there's bloggers, there are people like me, and there's journalists. So no.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not definitely Shaq, because, I know Shaq, and we're not here to be talking down anyone. So I don't want people to think that this Real Talk show, what we're doing here, we're basically giving everybody a chance. We welcome the bloggers on, we welcome whoever, but if we speak in journalism, and you guys have to go away or get whatever qualifications in what you're doing to bring your stories. And as you said, you don't necessarily have to be on the spot, like to say just who's there first.
Right.
Because sometimes people go there first and they bring wrong news to the media.
And you know what? And I will go as far as to say that Shaq is providing a service. He may not necessarily be journalism. And he himself has said publicly that, he does it as a hobby. It's something he enjoys doing. And
that's what he said, for real.
And he does a good job at it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a journalist. And it doesn't mean that, as you said, you're going to discount what he's doing because he's not a journalist.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, he is serving a purpose. Whenever a crime happens or something happens, people look to Shaq because they know Shaq is going to be on the scene. He's going to be streaming live. He's going to be, reporting while he's there. So that's a service that is, and I would even go as far as to say that even from myself, and I'm sure others in broadcast media for television, would sometimes use some of his content in their reporting. I've used it and I've given him credit because he was there on the scene and he captured it. So obviously, if you're going to use it, you give him credit for it. So I've done that from time to time. So there is some value in what he's doing.
Somebody is putting a name, well, adding to Shaq. Shaq, you getting some big props here as a papa. They say Shaq is a good paparazzi. He does a great job. Listen, paparazzi don't make money,
Yeah.
I gonna do it. Shaq, I gonna join you.
But what he's doing is important as well, right? Because, as I said, within the sphere of media, social media as in the established media houses, there is room for everybody. And as I've said before, I don't think that it is up to us to discriminate against anybody. No, while Shaq has publicly said that he does this as a hobby, there is room for him to
And others.
step on over and become an actual journalist. If he wants to, he can even join the Media Association if he wants to.
And he can, I'm sorry, can anyone do both? Because I don't want to form this show around Shaq because he have a lot of other bloggers. So what if somebody they're doing one thing, blogging, can they cross over to be a journalist by joining the association?
They can, and they would have to, because there are certain criteria when it comes to membership. I was going to read a segment from the Constitution just to highlight who can be a member. So a member, you have different categories of membership. You have full membership, you have associate membership. A full member is someone who, so there are 5 categories. So membership in the association: full member, individual, probationary, associate, corporate, and honorary. The full member is someone who is a working journalist employed by a bona fide or legally registered media company in St. Kitts and Nevis, who has no less than 1 year of experience in the field, and who satisfies the executive of the media association that he or she devotes a major part of his or her time and earns a major part of his or her income from journalism. So that's a full member. So basically you are a full-time journalist, or even if you're a freelancer, but most of your income comes from doing journalism. So that's a full member. But then you have associate membership. Associate membership, for example, are people who shall be opened to employees of companies involved in public relations, advertising, marketing, information technology. So that can be, that person can be an associate member. So to answer your question, someone like Shaq, who is a blogger, can join. And if he wants to transition into full membership, being a journalist, he can be a freelancer. He can earn income. He has his own platform, so he can earn income from his platform. And that would qualify him or put him in a position to be qualified for full membership. And in a case like that, he would also be available or be given the opportunity for training. Because one of the things that we try to do in the Media Association is present training opportunities, because we realize training is essential for this field. So he can also be part of the training exercises. And that will help, because we've seen persons who would probably be in the associate member position, who their standard of what they do has improved because of the training opportunities they've had. So, if you have a blogger, for example, who wants to be, wants to transition into journalism and they become a member of the association, when they get these opportunities, these training opportunities, it will help them to understand what journalism really is and step up their standard. So it only benefits.
It only benefits for real, because you're putting in your time, and why not put a name that's like something else to your belt?
Yeah.
Right? So this is very interesting, and if anyone out there listening, please tell Shaq or anyone else. And so at what age can someone become a journalist?
I think once you're the legal age to work.
Exactly. I like that.
Once you're the legal age to work.
What is the legal age to work here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
I think it's 16.
16? But can you get a social security at 16 here? Okay. Just checking to make sure we give...
I mean, a student, for example, who leaves CFB and who did communication studies and wants to transition into journalism, that student could become a journalist.
Right. One other question. 2 things I want to ask. Is there room for journalism here in St. Kitts and Nevis, given the size? And I also want to say this. Do you think that the bloggers, and I'm going to use Shaq again, and other persons that, and the media that have large followings, do you think that more people are maybe prone to them because of personalities? Or do you think that personality is lacking in some of the list here, especially in 2024. You're talking about a different era, different generation where the whole world is connected, and people gonna need more than this stiff just reading the news there, and people want a little book in English, and you could still kind of like twist it back. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
No,
I feel
understand
that
what
you
you're
have to
saying.
be relatable and add some spice to it. Like someone said, Jamie looks so cute and sexy. That's what I want to.
I think again, there is a need for differentiate, right? Because when I am presenting the news, I think the standard is standard English. That's just me, and that's just the way. When you're presenting the news, it's standard English.
Remember we said personality.
Yeah,
everybody have their own personality, so
but
that's yours.
I think you have more leeway when you are presenting on talk shows, for example.
Of course.
I often slip into dialect when, because you have to be relatable. People have to be able to understand what you're saying as well. Not that they don't understand standard English, but people just gravitate more to the dialect. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of who we are. So I would slip over, but in terms of presenting, to me, there has to be standard English.
Of course, and I get that, right? But what I said, sometimes I don't mean you.
I
but
understand.
Even we are from the Caribbean, and sometimes it all depends what people call standard English, because you might be bringing a particular person, and depending on the story that you're going to bring, you can slip and bring in a little colloquial just for that time. So that's what I mean in terms of personality, and add some spice to it. So, the stiff kind of, the room for it, because...
Let's say, for example, if in the past, for example, I used to go down to Old Road, New Guinea, down that area to do stories. And at times you could, if I'm talking to someone, the interview is on the newscast. I'm playing the interview and it's almost in its entirety. So you're hearing me having that conversation with the person.
Yeah.
That's different than if you're presenting the news.
Exactly.
When you're presenting. So there's a difference. And to
Yeah.
Jamie's point as well, hosting talk shows give you a lot of opportunity to do that, because you're interacting with people on, people, the common person, they call in and they're raising certain things. So at that point in time, you don't necessarily have to do a formal presentation, because you're hosting the show. You can interact with people differently.
And there are certain things that you just can't say in standard English. So there are certain things that you just have to put in the dialect in order to get the message over.
Absolutely. And of course, when we're talking about, like kind of being outside of the box, we're talking about being clean regardless. Because, for instance, let me talk about the big screen, like you say, like CNN on Fox, and everybody got their styles. And even though people are being formal, people still like to feel that authenticity coming from that person, innovations, and that natural kind of stuff. Yeah, and so I feel that this is just me. I guess we're representing some other persons out there that feel the same way as well. That over the years, I think that what has happened to journalism here in St. Kitts, as Jamie quite well said, in terms of you have to be formal and professional, right? Because the whole world opened up to the internet now. You have people can just take the phone from whatever and say whatever they want. And Jamie gave a good point, because that is where journalists, you have to remember your role, your professionalism, and you can't just, because monkey see, monkey do. And you have to know how to like, for instance, if you have like dignitaries, you have to know when to cross over. It's like a politician, right?
Yeah.
A politician must know his audience.
Yeah.
So I just got to let you guys know, I really truly appreciate you guys for being here. It is 8:29. You're on the Real Talk with Lovely Lavish Lavi. We're right here with WINNFM. I have some great news. Hopefully we will be getting some sponsorships on some good people. So once we get that, we'll be able to go for the 90 minutes. People are actually asking for 90 minutes. As I continue here, I want to, because I have to get the audience involved in order to keep them here. We have persons out there listening in Radioland. We have people here on the internet, and we also have people, the YouTubers. So we have in JT, he's asking, what's the annual fees to join? That's the journalist we were talking about. And then I see Mr. Barak. I have to read this one here. Barak Mohammed, he has been working for ZIZ years ago, and he is a journalist, and he's a radio personality. He has a lot of talent, but he has been around in the time, I would say maybe with Via Galloway and them. You know, so he's saying, what legal protection can a journalist obtain if they join the association, and what political rights do they have about reporting politics?
All right. So to answer the first question, the fee to be a member is $75, an annual fee, and that fee covers all the benefits that will come from the association training, because training costs money, but we try to make the trainings free for our members, and we also issue an ID card to our members. That ID card serves as a press pass that can be used when you're going to official functions, and it is recognized by the authorities. Regarding the legal protection, the association, one of the things that we try to do, or at least we're working towards, is having the ability to provide legal advice to our members. We're not a union, so that's one. We're not there to protect the working rights of the member. But what we do, apart from professional training and improvement, we try to also, where possible, provide advice and recommendations to our members. So if something comes up that's a legal issue, I remember some time ago there was a story that was published by a number of media houses that information came from the police, and there were concerns by the person involved, or I think there were some letters issued to media houses saying that the information was defamatory, et cetera, et cetera. So as an association, we would have sought to say, okay, let's see if we can get some advice on this and seek legal persons to give us advice. And that advice, and we could convey that to our members. So, and another thing that I probably could speak about as well is that we have been in contact with international organizations, one of which provides support, financial support to organizations to help journalists if they are, caught in legal issues while performing their work. So those are organizations that we're looking to build a relationship with, and if anything comes up, we can, assist where that is concerned. But in terms of legal protection, that is as far as it goes, based on what we're allowed to do, which is basically provide advice and provide recommendations. The thing about it, too, is that the association cannot, if we provide advice, and this has happened in the past, even before our time, if you provide advice to a member regarding something legally, and the member goes against that advice and gets into trouble legally, there's nothing the association can do, because the association would have warned or cautioned you regarding this particular issue from a legal standpoint. The choice is up to you at the end of the day. The media association can't force you to follow the advice or not to follow the advice. So that's as far as it goes where the association is concerned.
One other question. This is coming in from me. Over the years, I've seen where the politicians would have like town hall meetings, and persons would say, well, they invite their own, journalist to be there. You guys spoke about professionalism. How do you, if you go to a political
a town
hall meeting, how can you put your professionalism and your political preference in terms of getting the answers to a politician?
Well, for me, as I said, I don't have any political affiliation, so I don't have any preference. I have, journalism, working within the media, is a public profession. There are some people who choose to align themselves with political parties. That is their right, because you do have the right to do that.
Absolutely.
But because I have to present on all sides of the coin, I have chosen to not really be affiliated with anybody. So I often say I don't have a horse in the race, so it really doesn't matter. I don't come across that problem because I go to report on the issues. I go to report on what the politician is saying. I do not go with it in mind. Let me campaign for this politician, or let me try to make this politician look bad because I'm not supporting that person. No. For me, I don't have that problem at all.
Well, for me, and I'm glad that you asked the question you asked earlier about the color of my shirt, because because I think it's also it's important to think, to put that into consideration. So I wear this shirt, and like I said, I could wear it and I don't have to worry about anything because I know I don't have a political affiliation. However, if, let's say, that town hall meeting was during the political season, and I would not show up in a political color.
No.
So even though I'm comfortable wearing whatever shirt I want to wear regular during the course of the year, once it's an election year and it's an election period, I try as much as possible avoid wearing any shirt that can be attached to any political party, and especially showing up to a meeting at that. And that's actually a rule that Caribbean journalists have been advised on when it comes to covering politics and elections. You're advised to not wear anything, even if you think it's innocent and you're not aligned to any political party. You're still advised, because it's a matter of perception. So even though you might say, well, I don't have a horse in the race, but you show up in a political color at a particular meeting,
It kind of says you
it gives the impression that you do have a horse in the race.
So
that's the first step.
So as the president of the association, of the Media Association for St. Kitts and Nevis, let's suppose if, it happened and someone showed up, can you tell him, don't change the shirt?
No. And it wouldn't be my prerogative to tell that person that. If that's between them and their editorial policy. It is up to the editor to say to the journalist, you can't go in that shirt. Now, I must say, though, that there are some instances where a journalist could inadvertently, because, news is on the go, and sometimes you have breaking news. I might show up in a particular color at work that day, and then, something happens which you didn't plan for, and you have to show up there. Now, you didn't intentionally show up there in a shirt, matching a certain color. You actually went there to do your job. This is something that happened recently in Jamaica. A journalist was in the newsroom working. The editor said, look, there's something happening at a particular party headquarters. Show up there. He just happens to have a color shirt for the opposing side. And he showed up there, and he was actually abused by the party supporters who were there. But he didn't go there intentionally, to try to aggravate people. So these things happen. But especially around election time, as much as possible, you try to avoid that.
Well, of course, because even though you did not go there intentionally in a time when, for anything that sometimes people are easily influenced too.
Yeah.
So sometimes the persons would not know. So I know for sure you can't do that in Jamaica, as you said. So
yeah,
right?
Especially during election time.
And around election time. Somebody, I think this person is down in Sabre, and they're saying, can a journalist from outside of St. Kitts and Nevis become a member of the association?
That is, let me just go through the Constitution. Well, it says for full membership, it says a person who's working in St. Kitts and Nevis. You could have situations where, because we do have a member, for example, who
has worked in
St. Kitts and Nevis, is not currently here, but is a member because of the fact that they have worked in St. Kitts and Nevis and sometimes do freelance stories pertaining to St. Kitts and Nevis. So someone like that can become a member and is a member. The other memberships, the other categories of membership doesn't specifically speak to St. Kitts and Nevis, so there might be some room there. But when it comes to full membership, you would have to be from St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right. I'm listening to both of you, right? And the level of your experience as a journalist here in St. Kitts and Nevis. How do you self-intern? I mean, it's going to be probably a little bit kind of personal, but I am actually asking it not just for you guys, but for other aspiring journalists, youngsters coming up, right? How do you guys see the future here, especially with the worth of knowledge that you have and the qualifications, right? How do you guys see in terms of making it as an income to really, because there's a lot of work in journalism here. And as I'm listening to you guys, as you see what is happening here in our beautiful federation, anybody can just go on the radio now and have a show and start acting. Like many people asking me, man, you got to have politics in this year, man. You're not going to politics, nobody going to listen. But the kind of person that I am, I always want to do things that I can relate to. I understand. I don't have to know it all, but it must reflect upon me. And I cannot just come here and just create a program for people to just call in and bashing people or just complaining, noggin as a strong-minded black woman. an entrepreneur. I work for myself, self-made. No government in St. Kitts and Nevis, and when I said none, no political parties in St. Kitts and Nevis has been a part of my success or even my journey, right? So I do not see myself having to come in here to create a forum for people to just call in, maybe to just criticize and curse out somebody that they don't like. I believe in empowerment, and I believe that we do have beautiful people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We also have persons that are being nationals, that are being a part of our citizenship. And it's about time that, not that we don't have good programs, but it's about time that we can actually have like a regular grassroots program with some positive vibes and not the shouting and the yelling. And maybe that is why I'm actually so far with pulling out people. I'm going to say this on the airways. I think I can take the liberty in saying it because somebody told me that today. They said, Lavi, I saw you at the Prime Minister's wedding celebration. I said, Lavi, you have to get the Prime Minister's wife. That's the lady on this show. And I'm going to do all my powers so we can have her here on this show. And it's not about me, Lavi, but we need to actually, instead of just worshiping politicians or persons that we claim have monies or persons that go away and maybe coming back and showing their certifications as if like, it's a big deal here, but it should not be where you're coming back to look down on the people. We need to have people looking up to us than you're looking down. And if you have gone away and actually, like you see things out there, broaden your horizon, you should want people to look up to you. I see we kind of creating a kind of classism here. I actually Googled this classism in the Caribbean, and they said Barbados is one of the most classism in the Caribbean, and they said I think it is getting a touch of it. I want to believe that maybe because a lot of us are now going out there to study, and we have this thing now, this word that is trending around so freely and careless on the airways where we're calling people dunce. It become a part of our language, and that is actually an insult, So I just want to let you guys know, I truly appreciate you all, and anytime you guys see any way of adding to this program, feel free. Real Talk with Lavi is not about me. It's about the people, the grassroots people. That many people would even look at Lavi and say, the same thing you talk about. Who is she? What she know about this and whatever? But at the same time, I'm not trying to be a journalist. And if I want to be a journalist, the kind of person that I am, just like what you guys say, I will step it up a notch, inquire, get my act together, ask questions, and even if I have to go to school, do classes. And that is why whatever I do, I'm a certified boards of education, cosmetologist, and educator. Tomorrow, I am actually I want to let the persons out there know this. This is so important, guys. Tomorrow morning is a big deal for me. And when I say a big deal, right? It's a big deal because that's why the show named Grassroots. I will be going in the prison. And imagine, I'm saying it's a big deal, right? But it's a big deal because I will be going in the prison to teach cosmetology.
Oh, wow.
To some...
That is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That's a big
And
deal, yeah.
I'm not even going to call them prisoners. They're going to be my students. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a big deal because this is what I always wanted to do as a child and for somebody that really had to struggle my way up, because when I look at St. Kitts right now, Mr. Huey and Jamie, I see there's so many potential, and there's a lot of people should give thanks. This is young people time, and they're really getting the young people time. They're getting free education to travel out, right? They're getting free this, they're getting that. The government are giving these services, and I don't want to come here and say government. It is in the system, and whoever is coming, you got to continue tapping it to make it better for the people, right? So when I look at these things and I see, when I was asked to go in the prison, and I'm going to be real, when you hear the monies that you're going to be getting, and that is why I talk about you guys when it comes to money, because we the people want so much from our people. But in the Caribbean islands, I feel we the people, the grassroots people who really want to do the work, really don't get paid for their worth. You understand? Because we in a society where people are getting position, they're getting hand-picked positions, and then we expect the government to go right. Nothing cannot go right if you don't put people in there with the right experience, the right qualifications, and also personality, not forgetting character with sticks, right?
Especially if you're serving the public too.
You're serving the public, I don't care how intelligent you are, you need to have some character to you. All this mean and stingy and playing better than, and I'm going to say it right now, you see now when the government, the politician, them show up with the entourage, and you have this whole circle out there, like the out there. This kind of thing is not going to play it out well in St. Kitts. It's a small place, and we are having people like Laverne that is having the real talk. We are basically bringing programs that people can see something different than idolizing people on the outside, and they're not going to do it to even their parents.
Yeah, well, you're touching on a really touchy subject, because in the field of journalism in the Caribbean, it's a major concern. In fact, just last year, we had the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, which was elected to the executive last year. One of the concerns we have is that we are noticing a high attrition rate of journalists. People are leaving the profession because they're going to better paying jobs. And here is no exception. We have a situation here where, it's not unlike popular belief. It's not a highly paid profession at all. Because, journalists here could probably go into corporate communications or some other form of communication or some other field and make a lot more money than what they're making in the field of journalism. So it is a concern. The challenges are there. One of the reasons why a lot of media houses don't pay a lot is because we've seen also where social media is coming into play, where some businesses are using social media for their marketing, and so advertising budget is cut. And we know media houses make most of their money from advertising. So when that happens, it puts a strain on media houses to actually pay better salaries to workers. And you also have situations, and here is no exception here in St. Kitts Nevis. We have a high most media houses, the newsrooms are not properly staffed. So you have a situation where one or two people are running the newsroom, and that can't be efficient for a long period of time. So it's a real challenge. It's not insurmountable, but it's certainly a tall mountain to climb. One of the things that we're hoping to do as an association is to see how best we can help. And we didn't put a lot of focus on it this term. We have an election coming up, so when after that new term starts, we're hoping that the new executive will look at how they can
raise the bar,
work with media owners to see how best media owners can, find ways to improve their income, and by extension, improve the working conditions for journalists and hire more more journalists to work in the newsroom.
That is so true. And, like I said, sometimes because we're in a small community, everybody knows somebody, and we want to lend a helping hand. But I feel that we have to start somewhere, and that is why, like I said, I create this show, because as grassroots, we always kind of walk over the grassroots, take them for normal. But grassroots are we. I don't care what kind of position you have over. We still grassroots. We came from XYZ, and we need all different walks of people.
Yeah.
Right? You're Jamaican, and I have been to Jamaica. And it's only now I can see wherever Jamaicans go, they're going to survive. Because when I went to Jamaica, for instance, you go in, you see people actually, if they have to sell you gas in a pan, they're selling you the gas in the pan. They're not waiting for you to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they come to you.
Yeah.
There was another experience, and I'm not shifting because this is all where journalism come in. There's different topics. It's not just about politics, Jamie,
Exactly.
And I remember when I went to Jamaica, for instance, I went and somebody told me, you remember the little shoes, the Jamaican sandals? So I had like 20 pairs to bring back. Matter of fact, more, but So I went down to this place in Old Road, and, I'm not thinking, hey, we got a place in St. Kitts named Old Road. But it was actually like a place, like a market, like outside, like just outside. And when I see the shoes, Jamie, when you go there, the shoes, they're not on a shelf. They're like in heap, like when you heap up potato, right? A pile of, heap of shoes. And you have like heap of shoes here, heap of shoes there, go all the way down. So coming from St. Kitts, like me, now customer sharing to buy 5 here, 5 there, 5 wherever. And that is why I feel like a lot of us, especially Caribbean, if we intertwine a little bit more, we will be a little bit more open-minded and stop looking down at our own black and black Caribbean sisters and appreciate them. Because when I went to Jamaica, like I said, I asked for the 20 pairs of shoes. Doing my business as a customer, the other persons are just alert, right? And they actually was going to fight, the two of them fighting. And I'm like, what are they fighting for? But when I get it, what the other person was saying, no, man, you can't come and you take 20 pairs and me not sell none. You understand? So everybody had to eat bread.
Everybody had to get to do it.
However, you have to hustle and be smart. So the person not going to come up and say, here, go over there and take bread. That person realized, and that what I had to do now, buy 5 from this person, 5 there, 5 and whatever. So when we see Jamaicans and Guyanese and different people coming in here, St. Kitts and Nevis, Lavi Gumbs is opening this page, this platform, whatever you want to call it, right here on WIN FM. Tell somebody, share the page, come on and really contribute, because if we don't do it, it's not going to be, when we think it's Jamaicans, no, we're going to just be one color, not getting through, and we see other people coming in. So when we out here saying, oh, them Jamaicans and them whatever, we all stem from the same.
Yeah.
I think we look at differences and we point out the differences far too often. And in the Caribbean, the cultures are so similar, right?
Yes.
Because I come from a situation where I am made up of many different Caribbean cultures. We're really going to get into all, but, right? And when I look at it, there are more similarities than differences. And I try to tell people this all the time. We can't continue as a race to be fighting against each other. It's not just country we fight against. We pull down each other for a lot of other differences as well. So we have to come together as a people and ensure that we, this cutthroat thing, we can't continue with that. And that's one of the reasons why the association is so important, because as an association, we work together. I mean, before the association, I didn't know many of the journalists who, because I am in my corner doing my thing, everybody else is doing their thing, right? But because of the association, we are able to come together. We are able to discuss the challenges that we face as a profession and come up with different ideas as to how we can fix some of those challenges. We are able to be creative and work together and collaborate with each other. And we need more of that within, not just St. Kitts and Nevis, but within the Caribbean.
That is so true, because once you're up on your game and you understand what is happening, you don't know, because this profession can go wherever you go. You have something to say, well, hey, I was in St. Kitts and Nevis, I was in Jamaica, and you just continue because,
It takes you places. And to Jamie's point about working together, we've seen where, for example, the Media Association Grenada, they had an issue, and they decided as an association, as members of the association, that they were going to stand together on that issue. And it was successful. And we are seeing also in other countries as well. In Jamaica, there are some issues. Press Association of Jamaica, they're working together to get those issues resolved. So, and
we're working together in St. Kitts to get some issues
resolved. We're working. Well. Yes, we're working together in St. Kitts to get some issues resolved. And it's so important for the working together, because to Jamie's point about in the Caribbean we have a lot of similarities, and I think a lot of time we're just always looking at the differences. And I was watching a video this evening from Maurice Bishop, and Maurice Bishop, he was I think he was speaking in the States, in the US. This famous speech he had in the US in 1983 or somewhere there, and he said that the vestiges, and I was paraphrasing, vestiges of colonialism is to divide and rule. So you have the colonialists, they've come, they conquered different islands, and they have left that division, and we are following that footstep of pointing out the differences amongst ourselves rather
Because
than
I was
working
just
together.
going to even ask who created these differences. And when we start to ask those questions, why are we different? Because we came from Africa and you were placed here and I was placed there and this person was. We all came from the same place, you know? Actually, we came from the same place.
We have a lot of similarities. I remember even just recently, there's this Ghanaian vlogger who he went to all over the Caribbean. I think he's now in Ghana. And one of the things he said is when he came to places in Jamaica and Trinidad, he said it's so much like Ghana. So we're all the same, you know?
We have 856. There's a number of persons here saying, great. They love the discussion. I have to ask, there's a person saying, Lavi, could you ask the panel if you can introduce a communication subject within a curriculum? When I work in the school system here, the academy had a communication class in the curriculum. It was from the middle school age. As you know, it is 8:56. We still want to wrap up. So,
okay, so let me touch on that quickly. The association has decided to bring media training, media education to the high schools in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have chosen to pilot that program at the Washington Archibald High School. They were very excited to have that introduced into their school. So what we're going to do it during the club session. We're going to go to the school. We're going to teach them the ins and outs of media work. Now, we've spoken a lot about journalism this evening, but it's important to know that the Media Association does not just cover journalists.
Yes, media
we cover
workers.
videographers. We have videographers. We have photographers. We have editors. You name it,
All the different
we
professions.
have it. Once you are involved in some sort of news creating, news gathering, then you can join the Media Association.
all right, it is 8:57.
Yes. Well, my final words, thank you for the opportunity of being on. And the Media Association, as Jamie pointed out, we're looking to engage the schools and create the future of journalism, because as you talk about the future of journalism, we want to get more young people involved in the profession. But I think a lot of times they are ignorant to what the profession has, what happens in the profession. So by educating them and letting them know, okay, these are the different areas, I'm sure it'll pique a lot of their interests, and we'll have more young people joining the profession.
All right, thank you so much for being here. I can see that persons out there love it. They want more, but I always say short and sweet. We bring everything in a package right here on the Real Talk with Lavi. Next week, I have some great news for you guys out there. We are not going to have any guests because I really want to take some time so I can interact more with our audience. And the good folks out there and the media, hey, they're looking at us. Yes, so good evening. And next week is going to be an open house, so we'll be able to have persons to come in here, and then we're just going to have a great show. But like I said, the following week now, I'm going to have somebody out of St. Croix. She's going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about how culture or relationship affect our mental health. And she is, a professional in the crisis department down there. So we're going to just look forward for some really great things right here on the internet. And tomorrow, like I said before I leave, HMP, your girl is coming at you. Cosmetology is coming. Live and direct, professional style. We're not looking at you guys as no prisoner. You're going to be Lavi Gumbs students. One love. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.